Hi everyone, today I'm creating 23 cards using the Call Me Crafty SheetLoad of Card template for September 2025. You'll find a playlist below with the videos for the rest of the creative team members, as well as instructions on how you can download the template. Today I'm going to use some paper from my stash, so I have the Tonic Studios December Skies 6x6 pack, and I have the Stamperia Silent Seas collection. There is the standard 8x8 paper pad and also the backgrounds paper pad. What I've done already, and I've skipped ahead a little bit here, I have 6 of each of the backing panels except for the blue where I have 5, so I've got 23 backing panels, and I have gone through and cut the 2 3/4 inch squares out of a whole series of pattern papers that had kind of a muted design. So there's not a lot going on. There's not lighthouses or images or pictures. And the reason I went through and selected things that were quite simple is because I was going to cut them in half and add them to a card like this. So given I didn't want to be chopping through anything and disrupting a picture or some kind of item that you would normally embellish a card with, I chose to have these really pretty sort of designs. Some of them are water, some of them are stars in the sky. Really enjoyed this pattern paper. It had either blues and whites and some of the neutral tones as well in the paper pad. Once I had chopped all of them down, it's just a matter of lining up the triangles. Now, because these triangles have a matting layer and they fit straight into the corner there, you just line it up with the edge, spin it around and line the next one up with the edge. I feel like that is the worst description. Really, I'm just lining the paper up at the bottom, spinning and lining at the bottom, and they're done. So when I first looked at this, I thought I'd have to do a ton of work kind of aligning things so that the cards look balanced, but actually you just line it up with the corner and it all works beautifully. So I ran through and I did that for all of the 23 cards, and then I needed to make a decision about what was I going to do to actually add some interest to the cards. And I decided that I would fussy cut out some of the cool elements from the Silent Seas collection. So given it was part of the same collection, I knew that everything would match perfectly. So it was just a matter of fussy cutting things out. I used my Cutterbee scissors, which are my favorite scissors when I'm fussy cutting. I am not particularly great at it, so if I use scissors that I'm comfortable with, I tend to get a better outcome. Now here I'm sorting through and I'm saying, okay, what are the things that I can pull out of this standard paper pad and use on the cards? And you can see there's the squares, the rectangles, and then I've got these circles, then I've got the tags, and then this is the page where I had to do quite a bit of fussy cutting. And I thought, okay, I'm going to pick 4 or 5 things off each of these pages, and then I'm going to match them up to the cards. So I'm not going to think about it too much. I grabbed the 2 tags off the left-hand side of this sheet that were taller and narrow, and I thought I will figure out a way to include those. I will then run through and pick a few more of the tags off this sheet, and then with the rest of the printed papers, I tried to pick things that I thought would match with the blue and the tan. Now, while that seems to be most of them, I did do the lighthouses, the combi vans. There was a little bit of a theme to the ones that I picked. Now, I have put some links below to all of the things that I have used. So if you're looking for anything, you should be able to find it down there. It's pretty straightforward this time. I don't use a lot of old stock. I don't think I'll be able to find December Skies from Tonic Studios, but I will put a link to some similar paper packs just in case you're looking for something that's a little bit of a specialized paper pad. You can see the glow from my overhead camera there. I should probably have turned that down a little bit, but you can see on the blue that it really is specialty paper in that paper pad. And I think that with just the plain paper as the element and then this feature on top created a really nice card. Here I'm running through and I'm trying to decide which of the color combinations the elements matches with. So I've basically got these in piles of 6 and I'm running through and trying to figure out which one aligns best. When I actually glued the cards together, I kind of made a few changes, but for the most part, I was just trying to figure out the ones on the left-hand side that don't have a lot of blue. I picked items that didn't have a lot of blue as their element. So I didn't introduce that extra color, which means they're actually quite muted cards, and I like the tone-on-tone look that I ended up with for those. If you're enjoying the video, it would be fantastic if you could hit the like button. That is how YouTube decides to share a video with more viewers, so thank you in advance for that. And if you haven't subscribed, then please consider doing that as well. Now, I'm doing these cards in bundles of 6, or 6 and then 5. And basically, I'm laying everything out and then trying to figure out in my little stash here in my tray of a whole bunch of mixed up spare sentiments, which ones do I think I compare them with? That means the element I'm adding to the card and the sentiment balance out nicely. Now, in this little tray, I have some leftovers where there's only one of them. I have some where I did some bulk creation of sentiments and I've just popped a small handful of different sentiments into the tray, and I have some others in my storage separately. It was just a matter of running through and working out which ones did I think were going to work well and not add too much complexity to the cards themselves. With all of the elements that I picked for the card, I didn't pick things that had sentiments on them, or in some instances where I did, I actually planned to put the sentiment over the top of the wording on the element. So this means if it's something that is a little bit generic or something that I don't think would be useful on the card itself, I just go straight over the top and turn it into what I would like the card to be. Do you create cards that have a whole bunch of variety of different sentiments? And would you use, for example, puns from stamps, or maybe more generic sentiments? Not generic, more specific sentiments. For me, I do a lot of happy birthday, a lot of for you, a lot of thank yous. I try not to create cards that have really generic sentiments because I just find that they're ones that just don't get used as often. So I'm really curious, maybe put in the comments below, what are your common cards that you create? I would love to see. Now with this one here, this is the one that is mainly in the neutrals. So there's a couple of them that have a little bit of blue, but a lot of them have no blue at all. So you can see what I mean by their tone on tone. And so I tried not to introduce any additional colors to the sentiments either. And so you can see I'm using a lot of black and white. There is actually, that hello has a little sparkle shadow. So that matched in really nicely with the tone of one of the shells. Now you can see here, these ones, I'm actually gluing them down. I'm completing the cards themselves. And I wanted to show a little bit of this, but not for the whole video, because I did experiment by doing quite a bit of foam tape behind several of the cards. It just means that it lifts the element up off the card and creates a nice little shadow around the edge. So I think you'll see me do that with these remaining 3 cards. I've got the foam tape from scrapbook.com where it is 1mm thick, which means it doesn't create a lot of bulk on the card, but it does just lift it up enough to create just that little bit of shadow. And that to me is enough to create some more interest on the card and have it just be a little bit different than just attaching it just straight on top with glue. So the sentiments here, I've all attached them with glue, so they are flat on the card. But then with the tags and that little rectangle with the barrel and the bottle of wine, I have each of those ones sitting up off the card. So again, another question, is this something that you do? Often I will use cardstock or something else behind them. In this instance, 1mm foam tape, because it is just absolutely the perfect height. I have put another video here that I think you might enjoy. Have a great day.